and welcome to my channel Reviews with Jules. If you don't know me already, I am a TV graduate and filmmaker, and today I am going to be giving you my top tips and hacks to help you start writing. And this applies to script writing, novels and short stories. So if that interests you, then keep on watching. My first tip is to be inspired. Now, it sounds easier than it probably is because some of you out there are probably thinking, I love to write, but I have no idea where to start. Now, if you just look up TV shows and films that you love, look up the writer. What have they done? What can you then look into? Can you get hold of a script that they've done? So you can see the layout, see the format, because that will really help you have a great start. And then why not read other scripts? Read scripts from TV shows, read scripts from theatre plays, short stories, novels, because reading a variety and a range of scripts and writings will really help you define what you feel makes a great story, great characters and a great structure. My next tip is to start brainstorming. Now, a lot of people make the mistake of censoring themselves at this stage, but at this point you just want to be as creative as you can and just put all of your thoughts onto paper, because it doesn't matter at this stage. You'll be tearing up pieces of paper thinking that doesn't matter, but at the moment you just want to be creative and anything goes, and that's definitely a tip to remember. And what you want to be brainstorming is characters, couples, location and events, and this will help you form the basic structure of your story. And here are some examples. So for characters and couples, you have a postman and letter, cat and fish, driving instructor and surfer. At this point it can be as bizarre as possible because you never really know what actually might work. Location could be volcano, space or Hyde Park in London. You could be as broad or as specific as you want. Events like bumping into an old friend, crashing or losing your job, these are all things that will spur a little story on. The next thing that you want to do is start having a look to combine them. Maybe, for example, you have a driving instructor who used to go to school with a surfer and he always wanted to be a surfer but ended up being a boring driving instructor, and now he's going to bump into him at Hyde Park in London and really doesn't want to confess that he is a driving instructor when the other guy is a surfer and he never was very good at it at school. These little things, however bizarre they are at this stage, I've just formed a very short story with the small little brainstorm that I've got. So if you put all of your ideas onto paper, that is going to make a great foundation to a short story or script idea. My next tip is structure. A lot of writers use this and it goes back to like Shakespeare and the 3-act structure. Now, I have put some links in the description below to some books that explain this further, but I will just give you a very brief example because once you've got this down, you'll be on your way to writing. So Act 1 is all about the setup, then you have Act 2, which is quite the bulk of it, which is the event that happens, and then you have Act 3, which is the resolution. So why don't we have an example? Let's take The Lion King. You have Simba, who's been brought into this world, and then you have the incident, which is Scar trying to plot against his brother, and then the subsequent death of Mufasa, which leaves Simba to leave. Now that is the first act, which is the setup of the whole premise. Now we come on to Act 2, which is all the events that happen. So he's got the mentor, Rafiki, which tells him, stop being so silly, this is your world, Pride Rock is yours. And then you've also got his friends, Timon and Pumbaa, who are helping him along the way. You also see the hero, Simba, go through the transition of, we literally physically see him get older. And then there's a transformation and a climax to when he meets Nyla, his old school sweetheart and like kid friend, cub friend, who then comes along and says, since you left, I didn't realise, we all thought you died. Scar has taken over Pride Rock. Now this spurs him on to do something about it. So then we come on to Act 3, which is the climax and the resolution, because obviously he goes back, Simba goes back and he fights off Scar, and then he becomes the king of Pride Rock. So if you see that, it has Act 1, setup, Simba losing his dad. Act 2, the events of him growing up, meeting Nyla, and then realising that he does need to go back home and do something about Pride Rock. And then Act 3, which is the resolution and the conclusion, which is him taking over Pride Rock and then becoming king. And that brings me on to my next tip, which is characters. Now, as the writer, you need to know all the ins and outs of your character, the eye colour to the decision they are going to make. And what I have done is I have put a link in the description with the ultimate questionnaire that you need to have as a writer. It will have loads and loads and loads of questions, and you can just simply answer them. You might not know some of them, and that is also absolutely fine. That will come with time. But characters, for me, are one of the most important things to a story. And as the writer, you need to know what decision the characters are going to make. Let's take The Lion King again, for example. You have Nyla approaching Simba saying, Pride Rock's been taken over by Scar. And as the writer, you've got to go, okay, what would Simba do in this situation? Would he say, I'm going to go and be king of Pride Rock? Or, I'd rather stay here and eat witchetty grubs with my mates? Well, we all know what he does. And as the writer, it is your decision to make that. But you need to know your characters inside and out. And that cheat sheet will help you. My last tip is just write. And that might sound more complex or not, but if you've taken all my steps into consideration, you will be on your way to writing. If you've researched into what writers you like, how to format your script, what you think makes a good story, if you have brainstormed what you want your story to be about, if you have put that idea into a 3-act structure, and if you've then thought about your characters and padded them out and fleshed them out and you know them inside and out, there is nothing left to do but write. If you write a first draft, that doesn't have to be your final one. You can have 14, you can have 50, you could have 100. I know people who've been writing for 14 years the same script. If you don't write, you will never get better. So definitely put pen to paper or fingers to laptops and start it today. My bonus tip for you is to download Celtx or Celtx. People say it differently. There's also Final Draft, and these are applications or apps that will really help you take your scripts to an industry standard and look really, really professional. So it's definitely worth having a look at those. I've put some links in the description below, but at the moment you just need to put pen to paper or use Word, Google Docs, whatever, just to start writing. If you think it would be helpful to have a video of how to get around Celtx, my tips and tricks, then make sure you put a comment in the box below so I know to make a video like it. My next tip video will be the 5 common mistakes that beginner filmmakers make. So if you think that will interest you, then make sure to hit that notification bell. And in the meantime, you can check out these videos right over here.